Vice President Harris, this is what she said in West Virginia, aimed at Joe Manchin, the senator, Democrat from West Virginia.
We ran as Democrats, but we are Americans, and we will lead as Americans. The reason I am here in West Virginia talking with you is because everybody matters, whether you voted for us or not.
Okay, so that's what she said. Joe Manchin happened to hear it. Here's what he said.
I saw it. I couldn't believe it. No one called me. We're going to try to find a bipartisan pathway forward. I think we need to, but we need to work together. That's not a way of working together, what was done.
A bipartisan pathway, which is great. They're the same party. I mean, Andy, they're both Democrats.
Are they? I wonder, Jay. I'm beginning to wonder about Joe Manchin because he's such a conservative. He's such a moderate in some things that, you would think that he is a Democrat, but sometimes, and many times he comes across as a reasonable guy. But intra-party disputes among the vice president and the senior senator from West Virginia should not be happening at this time.
I just don't understand what Vice President Harris is trying to do when she is going after, and it's also supposedly, Than, I guess, Senator Sinema too as well?
Yeah, doing media in Arizona. And look, let me just give a peek behind the curtain here. When you played that sound from Joe Manchin, and one of the things he said was, no one called me. Jay, when a president or a vice president goes into a state or a locality and does press in that state, and some of the federal officials are from the same party, it is just manner of courtesy and also political expediency to reach out to that elected official and say, look, I'm going to come and I want us to be on the same page. So what are you thinking? How do you think is the best way to get help to the people of your state? I want to be on the same page as you. Let's talk. Let's get on the same page. The fact that did not happen, Jay, I think puts in great jeopardy the vote of Joe Manchin. And again, I mean, I know I sound like a broken record here, but if you don't get the vote of Joe Manchin, if you don't get the vote of Kyrsten Sinema, that means you only have 48 votes from your party. You must get Republican votes to pass something through. And while they're doing that, in the House of Representatives, they're using a parliamentary tool that says we don't need any Republican votes. So, Jay, I'm not sure where they come up with the votes using that strategy.
But here's the problem, Logan. The people that are suffering here are the American people that elected these people into office to get results. Now, you may have disagreed with the way the election came out, but here you got the Vice President of the United States attacking her own party because they don't like what the members of her own party are saying. They're not on the same page, in other words, which means their legislative affairs people in the White House aren't getting it done. So it begs the next question here, and that is this. The only people suffering are not those senators and congressmen in Washington, D.C. It's the American people, and they're using the media as a whipsaw, Logan, to kind of get this all fired up.
Yeah, do we have time for this clip from Jen Psaki? Can we play that? All right, so this is interesting. So it was brought up in the press briefing the other day. So let's take a listen so you have an idea of what's coming out, what kind of spin's coming out of the White House.
Yesterday we saw Vice President Harris do local media interviews in the states of West Virginia and Arizona. Obviously there's been a lot of focus on your efforts to get Republicans on board. Are you concerned that budget reconciliation even, may not be realistic or that you may lose some Democrats? Is that why Vice President Harris was making those calls to shore up Democratic support?
Vice President Harris was making those calls because we want to make the case to the American people across the country. And obviously she's not traveling to those states and holding big events or even events with not big crowds, but some crowd. And so this was a way to do exactly that.
Very clear answer.
I was going to say, what does that even mean?
Well, they're not doing big events. They're not even doing small events. There's not events with crowds. There's not events with no crowds. There's not events at all. It was it
was just, let's attack Joe Manchin and see if we can embarrass him into embracing something that he doesn't want to do.
She said the question was, are you trying to shore up Democratic support? Well, if that was the goal from that call, it failed.